Senior aide and longtime advisor to former President Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, surrendered himself to authorities this week to criminal contempt of Congress charges. Joining us now is investigative reporter for The Washington Post, Spencer Shue. Spencer, thank you so much for being here and welcome to Capitol Review. So we saw a pretty defiant Bannon when he turned himself in, no different than what we've seen before. But what did you see of Bannon's demeanor both in and outside the courtroom on Monday?
Well, I think what people saw was his statement to the Attorney General and Biden administration and Speaker Nancy Pelosi that this will be the misdemeanor case from hell. He clearly seemed to relish the political combat again and being in the spotlight when he greeted a crowd of maybe 50 reporters and photographers outside and protesters yelling and shouting traitor at him. After this very combative press conference afterward, he got into the waiting SUV with a thank you guys to the media, despite, the combative tone of the questions and his remarks. Meanwhile, inside, he was, kind of the model of a quiet, detained inmate who had, or at least someone who had come from the lockup from the backside of the jail where defendants enter. He had turned himself into the FBI. He was quiet. He was respectful.
And what are you hearing? What are Bannon's lawyers saying and advising him to do?
The claim of executive privilege is founded on the idea that presidents require full and frank advice, unvarnished advice from their advisors. The question comes, well, why didn't Bannon just appear before the committee and invoke executive privilege? That way he would have, avoided this notion of just completely ignoring the subpoena. So that's one issue that he'll have to explore. Again, his argument is that the former president, exerted privilege. It's also been reported that Trump is the one who asked his former impeachment lawyer, David Shane, to represent Bannon in this case.
So following that, in a separate case in August of last year, Bannon was, like you had mentioned, arrested and charged for stealing $25 million and defrauding hundreds of thousands of Trump donors who thought they were helping to fund the We Build the Wall campaign. He got away with it with the pardon. Is it advisable for President Trump to continue to protect Bannon, or at this time do you think he should keep a distance for 2024 like you're saying?
Well, I guess we can judge by what we've seen. Trump certainly feels it's in his interest. The David Shane's presence in the case offers another example of that. By Bannon, saying that this is a democratic, that the House committee has prejudged the outcome, asserting that the House created the January 6th committee solely to politically embarrass and intimidate former President Trump rather than investigate what others call, the use of political violence to change the outcome of an election that no court or state has asked to overturn or found credible evidence of fraud to overturn. That I guess people can look for themselves and see what they think of the video and the events of January 6th and what courts have said about the federal prosecutions of as many as 700 people, about 225 have pleaded guilty. Can get full testimony from witnesses will depend on the outcome of cases like that and how the courts rule and what the ongoing criminal investigation turns up.
All right, Washington Post investigative reporter Spencer Shue, thank you so much for that thorough analysis and breakdown and for being here on Capitol Review.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me.